112, cycle check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-point start, get shot.
Officer still stands for talk. No. Offender in custody. With 10-4 with. Thanks. If anyone else follows my density result, let me know. 10-4, I'll be there.
Holy crap. We broke the news earlier. New York Times broke the news that BK retracts his guilty plea. I thought there was a time limit, but I guess there isn't, which is kind of crazy. But we're going to go through all of it. He wants a new trial. Bad counsel, false promises, wrong information, post-conviction relief, blatant disinformation, all quotes. So we're going to be checking that out. We're going to be going through the New York Times article. We're going to be going through the interview with Mike Baker. I guess there was a phone call. There's a written statement that's typed out. And then there's also a handwritten statement that we're going to check out. The new case number, Hitler is going to be residing. The Consalvas family already came out with a response. And there's also a response from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure as we go on through the afternoon, there's probably going to be some other stuff that drops. Plus, I want to replay, go back to last July, not this July, but the one from last year. And we're going to take a listen to everything that was agreed to. So we're going to check that out again. What's up, Rosie? Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hey. I'm just going to be in and out because I'm supposed to be working. But I didn't want to miss too much. So.
Yeah, so, and shout out to, man, there was so much stuff. There was so much stuff you guys were sharing in the background. So I want to say thank you to you guys as well. Hell, let's go ahead and pull it up. By the way, here is the link to, I have a whole bunch of footage, but I haven't uploaded but maybe I think 8 videos, but they are key videos. It's the daytime and the nighttime of the 1-year anniversary trip that we went out there, boots on the ground, from 11/8/2023 to 11/15 of 2023. We were out there. We made sure to get the footage before the house was demolished. It was very important. So definitely check out that footage if you haven't yet, and thank you to all the members. All right, so we're going to get into this. Let me turn this music down just a skosh. All right, we're going to get into this this New York Times article here. Let me get rid of us, and let me get rid of 1 second. Let me get rid of the chat box there for a minute. All right. It says, man convicted in Idaho. Again, this is the New York Times. Man convicted in Idaho college killing seeks to take back guilty plea. In an interview from prison, Brian Koberger said he had filed a petition to reopen the case. You know what? Hold on a second. Instead of doing this, let's just change our cameras. Hold on 1 second. Let's go like this. Let's snuggle up next to the chat box. There we go. It says, in an interview from prison, Brian Koberger said he had filed a petition to reopen the case. He blamed his guilty plea on false promises and wrong information. Oh, hold on 1 second. All right, this is from Mike Baker. Mike Baker began covering the Idaho murders on the day they happened. He is writing a book about the case. We covered it since the very beginning as well. In fact, it was the case that created EvilleCJ and his path to boots on the ground. The criminology student convicted last year of murdering 4 University at Idaho students in their home is seeking to abandon his guilty plea and obtain a trial, claiming he is innocent and was misled into confessing to the high-profile killings. In an interview with the New York Times, Brian Koberger, who is currently serving, and I apologize because it is behind a paywall, so thank you again, Rosie, for doing this. Let me see here. Uh-oh. I think I missed one here. Who is serving... No, I didn't. Whoop. Who is serving 4 life sentences, said he had filed a petition challenging his conviction, citing concerns about how the plea deal came together. My actual innocence is my truth, and the plea, hinged on by false promises and blatant disinformation, capitalized, must be withdrawn, Mr. Koberger said in a statement provided to the Times on Sunday night. He reiterated in a phone call from prison in Idaho that he had absolute claim of innocence. Mr. Koberger had not granted an interview or made public comments before speaking with the Times. He declined to discuss any evidence or other specific details related to his innocence claim, as well as what specific concerns he had about the plea process. It is rare for defendants to win post-conviction challenges, which often revolve around claims of newly discovered evidence or an ineffective assistance of counsel. Steve Consalvis, the father of one of the victims, declined to comment Monday morning, saying he wanted to discuss the issue with his family. The Latah County Prosecutor's Office did not immediately return a call seeking comment. Now, we're going to go through both of their responses here in a few minutes. And again, what's up, Christine? And again, in November 2022, the 4 murders in Moscow, Idaho, a college town that had not seen a homicide in 7 years, captivated the country for weeks as investigators struggled to identify a suspect. Mr. Koberger's arrest brought relief to the community, but also stoked further mystery and speculation as investigators never identified a motive or any previous relationship with the victims. Yeah, 1 second here. Now it says, in a court of law enforcement officials outlined the evidence against Mr. Koberger. His DNA was found on a K-bar knife sheath that had been left next to 2 of the victims. Amazon records showed he had purchased a K-bar knife and sheath months prior. He drove a white Elantra, the type of car that investigators determined had been on surveillance video circling the crime scene and then speeding away from it. Mr. Koberger's phone showed he was out that night with his phone turned off at the time of the murders. Mr. Koberger declined to discuss the evidence against him in his call with the Times. He said the intention is for all of those questions to be investigated and answered appropriately in a trial setting. And you know, Rosie, I have to 100% agree.
Yeah.
It's what I've said from the very beginning, and I was very disappointed because it should be on trial. Like, all of this stuff should be presented in a trial, like transparently, where everybody can see the facts. You know, we don't need to see the photos of the victims and their injuries. The jury does, but we need to hear the experts. Now, this is what's crazy. Before we finish the article, this is what's crazy is who's going to be experts in this trial. You know, I can kind of assume that Ann Taylor's not going to be handling the case, right?
One would assume.
Safe to say.
Yes.
Safe to say that Ann Taylor's not going to be handling the case. Are these experts going to be the experts out of there? Because I doubt there's going to be the money, because, you know, we already heard how much money it costs the taxpayers of Idaho.
Yeah.
It's not going to be anywhere close to that. No way in hell. What are the experts going to do? Are they going to do it for free? Like what?
I mean, yeah, experts, and even like we're back to square one with getting a jury. There've been books, documentaries, leaks. It's worse than before. Like it's going to be really complicated.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. And yeah, where is the trial going to be held? Right? Is it going to be back in Boise? If there's even going to be one. I mean, let's be honest. Just because you take it back doesn't mean that you get it back. You know, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get a trial. Like these things are very tough. Very tough to try. What's up, Dre? Very tough to overcome. Kib Kitty. Oh, and I wanted to say thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much for the gifted membership. And I need to play this little thing for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Sorry, this is quick. Let me see here. What's up, 1983 Tabby? How can Sarah Boone get an attorney pro bono number? I mean, listen, let's be honest. There's a lot more people. There's a lot more people in Brian Kohberger's corner than Sarah Boone.
Yeah.
For how Sarah Boone would be able to get an attorney pro bono, I have no clue. I mean, she's representing herself, but I don't know. I'm sure there's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if that, like, Turvey does it for free. Honestly, I can see that happening. I mean, Turvey was the biggest one to come out against Ann Taylor and say that she did a horrible job.
Yeah, but I mean,
he was nasty about it too.
Yeah, so many of the experts that spoke about Turvey said that they would be surprised if he got work again. Like, what defense attorney would trust him?
One that wants you to do it for free?
Well, yeah, there's that one.
Right? One that says, okay, yeah, if you'll do it for free, shit, why not? You know? And this hair needs to be tested. This hair in Ethan's hand needs to be tested, damn it.
Yeah.
Mr. Kohberger, who had court-appointed a representation throughout the case ending with his guilty plea, said he prepared that. By the way, we're going to watch that again, too. I think it's very important and key to what we're discussing here. Said he prepared the documentation to challenge the case on his own. He will seek to have a lawyer appointed to help him going forward. Records show the filing reached the court Monday morning. So it was written yesterday, filed Monday morning. And let me see here. Okay, I can skip that one. Why is it? Let's see here. Okay, again, this is the New York Times article. After he was arrested in December 2022, Mr. Kohberger's initial lawyer said his client was eager to be exonerated. Court-appointed lawyers spent more than Philadelphia's court-appointed lawyers spent more than 2 years challenging the evidence collected against Mr. Kohberger, only for a surprise plea deal to come together a few weeks before a trial was to begin. Mr. Kohberger accepted responsibility for the murders at a July 2025 hearing. He was required to offer a motive for the killings and never has. The lack of a detailed confession outraged some of the victims' family members and even President Trump, who had called on the judge to demand an explanation from Mr. Kohberger. In court, the judge asked Mr. Kohberger, "Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?" "Yes," Mr. Kohberger responded. He later sat in silence at a sentencing hearing in which family members of the victims expressed their grief and anger. In the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, after a typical Saturday night out, The 4 victims were stabbed to death in an off-campus home. The bodies of Madison Mogan, 21, Kaylee Consalvas, 21, were found together in a bed on the home's 3rd floor. The bodies of Xana Kernodle, 20, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, 20, were found in a bedroom on the 2nd floor. All right, we're going to have that up there for now. So let me go ahead and get rid of that article. Thank you again for that. And let me see here. Give me 1 second.
It's a very unforgettable handwriting. I'll say that.
Let's see. I'm gonna take everybody around Moscow in the background while we're chit-chatting here. 1000% hair test. Yeah, unknown DNA for sure. For sure. There we go. And again, if you want the link, this is part of the Boots on the Ground raw HD footage. There'll be been uploading a lot of Elena Moore, Micah Miller stuff. We'll be uploading some Idaho Forest stuff. I got a bunch from the year anniversary trip, Boots on the Ground investigations that we were doing out there. Here's some clips of it. Just me doing a little bit of driving around in Moscow, going to different places. So when it comes to, I wanted to ask you this, Rosie, and I want to ask other people as well. And we're going to do some StreamYard live calls here in a little bit. We got some more stuff to get into, but as we take a momentarily pause from that, I want to ask you, Rosie, and also everybody else in chat, what do you think the bad advice was? What do you think the false promises were? You know, just admit, and just admit it, and we can get you out another way. Like, what it?
Yeah. So I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that he was.
What's up, you?
He was told, like, maybe if you plead guilty, there's still another avenue. Once you've gone through that process, maybe there's. I mean, I don't know how else he could allege false promises, because I mean, what do you offer a person to plead guilty? Otherwise, what is it? It's like you're just lying. There must have been something that he was told was another way to proceed once he went through that plea.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what could it be? You know what I mean? Jennifer G, what's up? What evidence could there be that has him confident enough to risk another trial? Well, I think a lot of the questions, right? Because there's so many. I mean, especially after these documents have come out, that's another thing that's going to be interesting when it comes to a trial. A lot of this discovery is already regurgitated across the asphalt. Yeah, I mean, and there, according to from the trial and the court documents and everything that was fought for in these previous court hearings a couple years ago, he didn't have a solid alibi either. You know what I mean? So what could there be? I mean, yes, there's a lot of questions, but I mean,
I don't know. I mean, unless
your DNA is on the sheath. Now, yes, there's questions about the sheath. We've been arguing O.J. Simpson contamination type effect from the very beginning. That's why we were comparing them both from the very beginning, because of the contamination from the very beginning that we showed everybody with the drones. So, but I mean, think about all of the media stuff that has been out there. There might be some jurors that just don't give a damn. I don't care if there's questions. This DNA's on the sheath. Do I think does the sheath 100% have something to do with it? It could. Is there anything else in the vicinity of these victims that could commit that same? No. So I have to put 2 and 2 together, even though there's questions. You're rolling I mean, he should have rolled the dice the first time. Why didn't he tell the judge that he had ineffective counsel when he asked him, are you pleading guilty because they tell you, or are you pleading guilty because you committed the crime? And he said he did it. We're going to listen to it again.
Yeah. I mean, all I can think is that he was asked there, do you feel that pleading guilty is in your best interest? So there was some kind of a question like that, and he said yes.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to try and say that, well, I mean, obviously he seems like he's going to try and say that there was some kind of a reason for what he did, and it just didn't pan out the way it was promised to him. And he's in a sense.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, and by the way, if you're enjoying the live stream, please help us out, reach more people, drop a like, subscribe, comment, and share this out to your socials and friends. We do appreciate you, but this is what I have to say to that. Like, there was an opportunity to get that in your favor. Like, there was already that opportunity. And I don't understand why it wasn't taken when, like, why, like, if Ann Taylor really promised him, hey, if you just plead guilty, we can do this, especially with what Turvey said about how the chain of custody issues, and when it came to the hair, and that stuff was like 4 days before the plea deal, then what the hell is Ann Taylor saying to Brian if that's the case, right? If Ann Taylor supposedly promised Brian something that, even though he didn't do it, took him, like, made him, oh, you know what? Okay, listen, I know you didn't do it, but if you plea right now, we can do this. Why would she even do that if that was the scenario? Because don't you think with this stuff that was introduced just a few days before the plea deal, don't you think instead Ann Taylor would have said, no, we need to keep fighting, Brian? Do you see what I'm saying? There's something that doesn't wash here. Something doesn't wash. Those two scenarios do not match up.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if he's going to point to her as the problem and say that he needed sufficient time to get away I don't know.
So what do you think? Do you think the false promise was in the very beginning? Like, this is what I'm trying to understand. This false promise, this bad advice, and that's why he took the plea. And we're going to listen to the judge ask Koberger these questions. And he says, yes, I did. Yes, I'm guilty. Like, so it can't be these. It's like giving me an orange and telling me it's a banana. I can smell the difference.
Right.
Yeah. I can smell the difference. You can't sit there and tell me that you got false promises in order for you to be persuaded to take the plea deal. If shit came up a couple days before the plea deal, that would have been the best argument to tell him, no, we need to keep fighting. Unless, I don't know, maybe she just, do you think she would be that much of a snake where she just told him what he wanted to hear because she knew that? I mean, she admitted to the courts right before the plea deal that she wasn't prepared. So do you think she just didn't want to go to trial and she was just going to tell him whatever she wanted to tell him, and she really was working with the prosecution just so she didn't have to go to trial because there was no way she was prepared?
Well, I never used to think that of her, but I recently I have started to question things about her, and I guess it's not just from like Turvey and things that he had to say, but there's very little else that makes sense when it comes to this back and forth. I unless he's just causing trouble and trying to extend the control that he has, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that something, and I saw in chat, Christine said something fishy happened there. Yeah, I feel like something did happen at the end, and I guess it's very likely that it was to do with her. And maybe he's just going to allege corruption in a way to extend this whole thing. I mean, if he stood in front of the judge and said yes to everything, it's his word against hers if he's going to just turn around and say yes, but that was legal advice, me saying yes. Then that is...
Well, when I joined Harsh's panel a couple months ago, he brought up a good point, because I was like, until I heard about the hair and all that stuff, I supported. I overly supported Ann Taylor, even to the naysayers. And then when I heard about the hair, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how could you not plead to your client? Like, look, we got to keep fighting. Like, especially with all that's there. So, and then I kind of changed my mind on her. And then, he brought up a really good point, because I asked him what he thought about Ann Taylor and why he thought maybe Brian Koberger took the plea deal. And he was like, well, think about it like this, man. He was like, this is your only, other than your phone calls with your family and stuff, like this is your only like connection to the outside world. And he was like, think about, like, let's go to some nighttime here. He was like, think about, like, if, you're being told, like, hey, everything over on the other side, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it. You're stuck in that, hey, everything on the other, by the way, we're right behind 1122. Hey, everything is just great over there, but it's not ready. It's not ready. And so the only person that you have access to that information is like, you're like, oh, shoot. Well, I can't see it and I can't feel it and I can't smell it. So I have to trust them, Okay, so I'll wait. And then when it comes time and they're like, no, you can't go now. Even though it might be beautiful over there. No, you can't go. You need to stay here. Oh, I need to stay? Yeah, it's not good. Oh, okay. So you're kind of like, it could have been a thing where, like he was saying, Ann Taylor's like, look, man, you're going to get fried no matter what. You might, if you don't want to die, then you're just going to have to do this, blah, 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 blah. I get that. Yeah. But to me, it's like, I don't know, when you're sitting at that table and the judge is asking you that question and you're like, yep, like we saw it. It was, we even had this zoomed in from back then. I don't remember where it's at. It's in the link somewhere. But it was like, he said it very confidently, yes. And again, we're going to listen to it towards the end of the show before we get into some of the other things here. We're going to get into the written statements here next after we drive through 1122 on King and Queen Road there. It's just crazy. I don't understand, like, what could be. That's my biggest question right now is what are the false promises? What's the bad advice? And
I mean, like, when Turvey gave that interview, I didn't take a whole lot from what he said. I just wasn't sure about a lot of it. But one thing that I did, like, it just stuck with me, was he said that Ann Taylor was not the same person towards the end of the case that he knew her to be at the beginning. And for some reason, I felt like that was something very genuine that he was saying, and that was something that caused me a bit of doubt. Like, what does he mean, like, that she's just not the same person? Because in hindsight, that does fit with how abrupt things are. So, like, I'd love to know what he meant by that.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about it from her perspective. Okay, very high profile case. Very high profile case. Was not prepared. Even after a couple years, was not prepared. Look at how dark it is there, you guys, past my headlights there. That was 11/13/2023. That's how dark it is. It's crazy. This is Walenta Ridge Road behind 1122 now. Like, I can't, unless she like just started working with she was just like, look, I can't end up with egg on my face. You know, I don't want to go to trial and be completely demolished and have my reputation be where I got waxed all over the floor in court because I couldn't even be prepared after a couple years. I don't know. I don't. That doesn't make sense. You know, like, you put all that, you invest all that time, you invest all that effort, you plead with the judge over and over that your client is not guilty, you know, all of these different things. So it's like, I don't know. It's just wild to me. I don't understand it. It's weird. Doesn't make sense. And even the false promises, give me anybody, please. Give me something that makes sense, because to me, false promises, hey, you accept, if you didn't do it, take this plea deal. We're going to, again, later in the show, we're going to listen to the conversation between the damn judge and Koberger during the plea deal. We're going to hear the words. We're going to hear what is being admitted to. And then if you're being, because he even said, you're not going to be given anything for taking this. No. Like, and he even made it clear, like, look, you know, this is very serious. If there is any of these, you need to say it now. No. And what was the false promise and bad advice that you got to do that, to say that at the plea hearing? The plea hearing was unexpected. I remember we all woke up that day and were like, holy hell, he's pleading guilty. Crazy. It was a crazy morning.
It was.
Crazy morning. It was totally unexpected, because literally days away from the trial starting. Days away. And so if there wasn't this push right before the plea deal was actually said, yes, I did this, what was, I mean, that, listen, my biggest question this whole time since the day we heard about the crime happening, the day that we heard about the 8-hour delay, that was my biggest question this whole time. And now my biggest question is, what is this bad advice? What were these false promises? Because if that was taking place, I mean, think about this. Let's play this scenario. You tell me how much this doesn't make sense. Okay, we found out about the hair. Okay, we're discussing the chain of custody issues with the knife sheath. And Ann Taylor comes to me and says, but you need to take the plea deal. But Ann, right? Because if you're not guilty and we're thinking of false promises, right? We got to think that. But Ann, there's this hair in Ethan's hand, and there's this chain of custody issue, not to mention all the other questionable evidence, Anne. Not to mention the contamination, Anne. But listen, Brian, if you do this, if you take the plea and admit to guilt, then we can do this. I can't understand what that could be. That would make somebody go, but okay, you know what? Forget about the hair in Ethan's hand. You know what? Okay, forget about the contamination with the DNA dirty gloves before they walked in and processed the crime scene. Okay, forget about all this other questionable evidence. I'm going to take your advice, Ann Taylor, because what you were mentioning seems a hell of a lot better than us going with these other things. I don't understand. Like it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
But aside from talking about false promises and stuff like that, I think I remember the word disinformation was also used somewhere, which kind of sounds like he's alleging that he was just blatantly lied to. Like there was something said that was just a straightforward lie, not even just like a blurry truth. So I mean that's a pretty strong, like he's saying I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if we look at it this way? Blatant misinformation. Could that be could this count? Could this count where blatant misinformation would be in the very beginning? Ann Taylor said, you know what, Brian, there is no link to you. We are going to make sure that you don't get punished for something that you didn't commit. That could qualify, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's where my brain is going, because again, what I just broke down, what outweighs the stuff that came up right before the plea deal that would have given you even better a chance when it came to rolling the dice? And like I said back then, before the plea deal was taken, he had a very good shot at rolling those dice, considering all the contamination that took place with the evidence. So I don't see anything that is more valuable or that could be told to you that is more valuable than what was already on the table. And so if we don't see that, and if I can't see anything that weighs heavier than what's on the table already, well, then I have to assume that he's going back to something in the very beginning. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. The only thing that makes sense of the false promises, the bad advice, is that it doesn't have anything to do with the plea deal. It has everything to do with what he was told in the beginning. Now, if it has to do with the plea deal, what were you told that made you, again, disregard the hair, disregard the contamination, disregard all the questionable evidence, disregard the no timeline, disregard all of these major things that could set you free?
I have no idea. I mean, I can't think what it would be.
I can't either. That's what, I mean, I get it. Everybody's in a hoopla, but I'm like, wait a minute. How does this make sense? We got, like, yes, you can run with those words, but we have to like break it down and really think about it realistically. Like, okay, does it make sense? Yes. You oh my gosh, she promised him if he took the deal that da 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 da. But let's really go beyond that. Let's not look at the surface. Let's go under the surface. You have to go under the surface. And when you go under the surface, you're like, wait a minute. What could have been offered that was way better than what was already on the table? So now you have to start all over with with the whole preparation for new lawyers, like all these different things. Like, you're going to sit there and throw away 2.5 years of work You can't sit, let's be honest, we watched these court hearings. You can't say that Ann Taylor didn't stand up and fight. Quite often, multiple times, stood up and fought, even though she was told no, even though they laughed at her. She was still standing up there trying to fight different things. It's not like she was just sitting on her ass, chilling back, looking at her phone like Lindsay Clancy's lawyer was during the trial. Dude sitting there text messaging somebody during the frickin' trial. Pay attention to what's going on, bro. By the way, if you missed that live trial, we covered that. Day 2 will be on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Bab says the plea deal wasn't even agreed upon by the victims' families. It was set in stone. I know, and that's the shady part about it. Latah County knew about it on Friday. They purposely didn't, and the Consalvis family reached out to them on Saturday and Sunday asking for a response. And they didn't even check their emails when they came in. They instantly went to go fax the frickin' plea deal, and then they checked their emails conveniently. Oh, sorry, we already faxed it over, because they knew damn well those families weren't going to agree to that plea deal unless there was some kind of what happened to our children. There should have been that. Very sneaky and shady, of course. Thank you, Kib Kitty, member, for 37 months. I know it's a hell of a lot longer than that. It's like double that. Thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words and the support, and also the gifted membership. Thank you. I don't believe he knew about that. I mean, unless Ann Taylor purposely didn't tell him, how could you not tell your client, right? Like, how could you not tell your client about key evidence that was discovered?
Yeah. I mean, it would be...
Whew.
Yeah.
That'd be so messed up. All right, we're going to get to the next part. Thank you all for being here. Please hit the like, subscribe if you're not. So this is the... wait a minute. We need to go to this one first. So this is the one from the New York Times article. Oh, trust me, if you've never visited Moscow, Idaho, here's a link to some of the boots on the ground footage we had for the year anniversary. Includes 1122's house in it. Different videos. Be uploading a lot more from that trip as well. Boots on the ground investigations we did. Also went to the memorial vigil that they had for the students for that year anniversary, and that was creepy in its own. I'll never forget that night. It was, and then after that, I went by I was leaving there, I got harassed by 4 beefy trucks, and then after that, I made my way to the back of 1122, and some more footage of the surrounding city of Moscow and some of the outskirts. Just collecting different footage while I was there. But definitely check it out. It'll put you there like you were there, and also there's no just minimal dash, little bit of wipers here and there, but not half a dash for the screen, so you get a better view of what's going on. It makes you feel like you're there when you're driving around there, day and night. All right, so this is from Brian Koberger. This was typed out. Again, this was in the New York Times article. Over a year later, it is self-evident that in State versus Koberger, justice was not served. Unanswered questions seem to multiply with each piece of discovery unsealed, and the public demands the truth. Unfortunately, the truth shall never be derived from the state's myopic narrative, a work of fiction which is yet to evolve since the PCA was released nearly 4 years ago, and its faulty premises were never challenged at trial. Circumnavigated by a broken plea, the trial never provided the public the clarity conducive to closure, and justice shall remain abjectly miscarried unless the plea is withdrawn. I hereby declare my intention to enter a not guilty plea and welcome the state the opportunity to prove their case at a trial as well as to again file for the death penalty. My actual innocence is my truth, and the plea hinged on by false promises and blatant disinformation must be withdrawn. Thank you for all who believe in my innocence and continue to critically analyze the case. I send my love to my family who have never wavered in their belief in who I am, their belief in my innocence. So you can go ahead and try me for the death penalty as well. Is that like his carrot to the prosecution? Like, look, the chances of me getting a new trial is very slim anyway. And if I do, hey, how about this? To help that new trial happen, I'll let you go after the death penalty. Now, check this out. Now, this is from Brian Koberger. This was handwritten. Let me go full screen here. 1 second. So you guys can see it a little better. Okay. Now it says right here, it is hereby declared that during attorney-client discussions, most of which included all members of Brian C. Koberger's immediate family, petitioner was convinced to falsely confess to capital murder and felony burglary by coercion, disinformation, and false promises, and the withholding of exculpatory discovery. The following is material to the inception of the plea. Counsel's failure to inform petitioner of exculpatory discovery received during plea discussions, namely clumps of unknown hair found in Ethan Chapin's hands, as well as a failure of further inquiry. So there we have it, don't we?
Absolutely.
There it is. And that's what she did. She did not tell him about the hair that was found in Ethan's hands. It's why I said, why are you taking the plea deal when there's literally the death grip DNA of somebody else's hair in Ethan's hands? Because that's the person that committed the crime against Ethan. That's the only reason he's got the death grip of hair in his hand, is because the person that committed the crime against Ethan, that was their hair. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read on here. Listen, we're getting through all. We should have went through with this first. Shit. A gross misrepresentation of and promises regarding what a life sentence would immediately afford petitioner, and a gross misrepresentation of death row in Idaho, including an elaborate, fabricated story of counsel's horrific experience touring an actual 6x8 death row cell, all communicated to petitioner and his family, something by IDOC through counsel, thus constituting threats and promises made to a plea agreement.
I think it's induce.
Yeah, induce. Wow. Ain't that some shit? She didn't tell him about the hair?
Yeah. Did we skip number 2? Sorry, I don't know if it cut out for me. Can we read number 2 again? Where it says
number 2? Yeah, it cut out. Okay, it says petitioner was convinced that actual guilt was not an important factor. Hold on 1 second. Petitioner was convinced that actual guilt was not an important factor in considering plea acceptance. Death row was imminent and advised to lie. Petitioner was to get a legal victory in entering a false plea. A gross... Yeah, so I did skip that. I apologize. Wow.
Very wow.
So Him and Turvey have been having, I bet you they've been having some conversations ever
I would
since,
say so.
yeah, like they're having private conversations because now we know that he, ever since he's been in custody, he's watched his case like a hawk. Unless they talked bad about his friends or his family, and then he just quit watching, turned the channel. But I'm pretty sure Turvey probably, because I guarantee it, Turvey could have reached out. Hey, Brian, can you put me on your list to come visit? They sit down, they have some conversations over a period of time. But isn't that messed up? Like she was really working with the prosecution there at the end. And
Yeah.
what the hell? Because I'm not seeing what she said. Yeah, it's not as important, false promises, blah, 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 blah. I see what he's saying here, but I don't, how can, like, what in that can make you go, okay, I'm going to literally sit in front of a judge and admit to killing 4 of these people I didn't kill and admit to all of these charges.
I don't know.
And go ahead.
But sorry, I was just going to say that reading this kind of connects back to the first one where he was saying, like she's regarding the plea agreement as a legal victory, and that the actual truth of innocence is not what's important. So she was obviously like constantly referring to the death penalty. So I feel like that's why in the other statement that he made, the typed one, he was saying, bring the death penalty, because it's about, I think, what he called his truth being his innocence and not a legal victory. So I get that now.
I mean, we're going to listen to the plea hearing from last year, and my gosh, I mean, okay, we know about, and maybe that's why Turvey went the F off, right? Because Turvey was the one that was scolding Ann Taylor, especially about this hair and why wouldn't you get it tested and all that. And to me, this just smells like Turvey, contact with Turvey. It really does. But that is an argument, why wasn't, and it's what I said, when we found out about it, like, why in the hell would anybody take a plea deal if you had that on the table, if you had the death grip hair on the table? Like, why would you? And I don't know what promise, what misrepresentation of reality would make somebody admit to it the way that he admitted to it in front of the judge? Because again, very confident and stern with the answers to the judge. That was what did she, I mean, like, is Ann Taylor enough of a salesman to sell ice to an Eskimo?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't get that impression from her, but
I didn't either. I mean, that's what it would have to take. Like, hey, I know you got a house out of ice, but here, let me sell you some ice. Like, what?
Right.
That would. Oh, okay. Like, you'd have to be that gullible. But man, if she did, the hair not being tested, but man, if she didn't tell, it really makes me wonder, like, did she just not want to go to trial because she wasn't prepared and she didn't want to be, think about this, Johnny Cochran, right? Marcia Clark. What happened to Marcia Clark? Like, she was this high profile prosecutor in Los Angeles. She was kicking ass, taking names. She had a hell of a reputation. And then the O.J. Simpson trial happened, and they fumbleed it because they weren't prepared. And then look at the kind of reputation that Marcia Clark had for the next 3 decades, the next 4 decades, 3 decades, as a piece of shit. And Ann Taylor was heading in that way if she was going to get waxed all over the floor, not prepared. You know, like, was she afraid of that? Another thing I brought up when I was talking with Harsh on his show. Like, that's a small ass community. Yeah. I was there. Like, the claustrophobia that comes with just the corruption. It's like a thick, humid fog, and you can feel it, you can breathe it, you can sense it. And I can't imagine being in that little ass county, that little ass area out the middle of nowhere, and everybody has been, yeah, that's that lady that still believes in Koberger, you know, like, I can imagine that it was hard to be around. You couldn't even, because remember, we all heard the stories of how she went to the same damn Denny's as everybody else. And now she's sitting at a table by herself, and has been sitting at a table by herself for all this time. I don't know. It's just really crazy to me. What a ripoff to the taxpayers of Idaho if this really took place. Yeah. What a ripoff to the $7 million they had to pay. $7 million from the taxpayers to pay for that. And nothing even took place from it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's without a trial.
Without a trial. Here is the new case post-conviction relief, 727, civil case information sheet, petition for post-conviction relief, motion and affidavit in support of appointment of counsel, for permission to proceed on partial payment of court fees. We got all that. Here's this. Party, respondent, state of Idaho, petitioner, Brian C. Koberger. And here is the case information. So there's the case number. So we'll be talking about this as these documents are going to be... Isn't it crazy? But you know what? The major thing after this plea deal was that I was so disappointed that there wasn't going to be a trial. So disappointed. Hopefully, and listen, we can hope. The chance of it happening is that much. Not very much at all. Yeah. Not very much at all. But we'll have to see, and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully the right thing happens. It really does. What's up, Dean A? How you doing? And also, Mac Ann, thank you for hopping in. I don't know why this person, that's the thing, like, that's what I'm trying to understand. What would make somebody that lives around ice be like, yeah, I'll buy some ice. Like, you got it right there, man. What are you talking about? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. This is the Consalvis family statement. We're going to read through this real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me get rid of these here.
And then after we read this one, I do have to step down for a bit. I'll see about if I can come back. But
yeah, no problem.
Right.
Consalvis family statement: the mosquito you just can't seem to swat. That is what Koberger and his following have become to this family. We read Mr. Baker's story. He must be so proud of himself for speaking with Mr. Koberger and his sister, giving them a platform to spread their narrative. The piece had little else to offer beyond a guilty man once again claiming he is innocent. Nowhere in the story or in Koberger's own statement does he not acknowledge that he knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently, which is a direct quote from the judge, admitted to murdering the 4 victims of this tragedy: Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Quite the opposite. He appeared in court for a hearing before a judge, and we're going to check that out here shortly. Rewatch it again. Accompanied by his 4 lawyers, he chose not to leave his fate or the facts of the case to a jury. He never cried foul, never claimed he was uninformed or pressured, and never suggested there were problems with the discovery materials he and his counsel had reviewed for the 2 years that should have been challenged, and that is all 100% correct. He answered yes, and he did. Again, that's why I have to ask the same questions as well. Like, why did you? And that's why we're going to watch it again so you guys can hear it if you haven't seen it. You're going to hear it like, yes, very confidently. It's like, wait a minute. What were you sold, bro? We would have preferred a death penalty trial. Well, you might be able to get one now. We believe fully in the evidence. Instead, BK received exactly what he asked for. A death that spared his life. Know this, he hates that life. He wants another chance to roll the dice. There will almost certainly be a hearing. That is how the legal process works. Yeah, there's going to be a hearing on whether it's or it gets denied. Yes. And I bet you it gets denied. We'll see what happens. I can't wait to hear what Judge Hippler has to say. The defendant will get another day in court, a welcome break from the solitary confinement, a ride, perhaps different food, photos taken in the spotlight, once again fixed on him and his supposed innocence. The real tragedy in this, if even a fraction of the energy spent trying to free a guilty man were directed toward honoring the victims, there would be statues of them on every corner, parks bearing their names, a days set aside to remember their lives lost at the hands of a narcissist, and shame on the community of Moscow for not... Hell, it took them 2 years to even make the frickin' garden memorial, which, give me a break. They didn't even have barely but a tenth of a drawing made a year after they were killed. I'm not surprised when it comes to that community. This is a statement from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. We are saddened by the recent news that admitted murderer Madison Mogan, Kaylee Consalvas, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle continues his efforts to victimize their families and friends. Our office is prepared to defend the well-deserved convictions and sentences and ensure justice prevails. Please forward all questions to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. It's going to be interesting with what happens with that, you know?
Very.
Yes. Yikes. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of information that all just came out at once. Like, I never actually expected we would get to this where he would. I thought he was kind of going to just disappear.
Who? Koberger?
Koberger? Yeah, like I thought he was just going to carry on with it.
Well, hold on one second. Let me... So, shout out to StreamYard. Now it's a floating heart, 10 joules. Thank you, Hopper. 82 for that. And how are you doing? And that's pretty... Oh, and another 10 joules floating heart. It doesn't... Oh, there it is. I see it floating. And it's got like little clouds by it too. Thank you so much. Let me... I don't know. Joules. I wonder how many joules I have. Yeah, thank you for that. Let me turn those back on. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't wait to see what Judge Hippler has to say. Now the thing is he was pretty stern. He was pretty stern about what he was asking, and I think, and this is why I went ahead and searched it up and got the timestamps prepared, because I'm like, okay, I see what I see what's being written, I see what's being said, I'm seeing what's being argued. But when we go back to what was asked, and this is why I think we already saw Judge Hippler kind of, you could see it was like becoming nonsense to him, right, Rosie? And he was denying a lot of stuff that really should have been argued. I'm going to be honest with you. He was denying a lot of stuff that should have been argued. But he was very stern, and the questions that he asked, I believe, he asked them because of this potentially coming up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he was planning for this.
Yeah, like, you know what? If he does, and maybe, listen, I'm not a judge. Maybe that is what they're supposed to, maybe there's an outline of everything that they're supposed to ask and make sure specifically word by word, so that way, no matter if it happens or not, they're covered. But I do remember, and we're going to listen to it again here in a minute. That's about half an hour, a little bit longer than that. And I'll drop the link for you guys if you guys want to watch the whole thing. But very okay, well, you need to understand this. This is what you're going to be admitting to. Ask very specific questions, and I really felt like it was geared towards this situation happening. And so when Hippler's going to be residing for this, what is going to be the overwhelmingly damning evidence that would make Judge Hippler consider Brian Kohberger's retractment? Because he's the one that's going to have to consider it or deny it. And he's probably going to deny it. That's why he's going to be like, look, I asked you these questions, so we didn't even get to this point. And he's going to look at Kohberger as wasting the court's time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of also wondering if it would have something to do with the leak. Maybe if they're going to allege that it had something to do with happening under Ann Taylor's watch, if it came from her side. I've heard, kind of rumors that it did, but I don't even know if that's possible. But I don't know what he's going to be able to say, because, I mean, Hippler has experience with this case, and it's not like he's reviewing somebody else's decision to accept the plea. He's reviewing his own decision, and
right.
He was careful, in his view, to make the right decision. So.
Aw, thank you so much, Kib Kitty. The thumbs up, the 10 jewels. Thank you for that. Let me give you a round of applause as well. Jennifer, can he use this new trial to get his well, if it's a new trial, then everything, the plea basically gets rescinded. So what he pleaded to, I don't see how he can do it, man. I mean, you could say, yeah, I wasn't given the opportunity to know about this. He's got to have some damn good reasons. Again, I can't think of any good reasons that anybody can come up with on why you would be swindled into pleading guilty. You know, like, I can't think of any good reason. So you got to have a extraordinary reason for the judge to consider it. And then also, you know, well, there was hair that I wasn't told about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The judge, I mean, we know how Judge Hippler is. Brian, I asked you these questions, and we're going to listen to them here.
Yes, I'm going to sneak out here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the coverage, and I'll be in chat with everyone.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for being part of the EvilleCJ Media Network.
Right.
Oh, no problem. And hop back up anytime. All right, we're going to check this out. This is the plea deal where he pleaded guilty. This is the court hearing. And the date, let me get the exact date for you. I believe it was July 3rd, July 2nd, 2025. All right, so here is the link to the video. This is the full plea hearing. I'm skipping the beginning mumbo jumbo. And we're going to go skip ahead to 1644 in this video. And that is where he starts to get into the conversation about, and here, let me move me over here. Starts to get into the conversation about the accepting of it and everything that takes place from accepting guilt for it.
That said, let's
thank you all for being here. Appreciate you very much.
I understand the state and the defense have reached a plea agreement in this case. For the record, I have a written plea agreement which indicates in sum the defendant will plead guilty to all 5 counts in the indictment: burglary, felony, and first-degree murder, 4 counts. The state and the defendant stipulate, that is, that the defense is not free to argue for a lesser sentence at sentencing to the following. The defendant on the burglary charge will be sentenced to 10 years fixed, and that the defendant on counts 2 through 5, the 4 counts of first-degree homicide, on each count would receive a fixed life sentence, all 5 of those counts to run consecutive to one another. Defendant, as part of the plea agreement, waives his right to appeal, as well as his right to appeal the sentence and his right to seek leniency or reconsideration of the sentence under Idaho Criminal Rule 35. This is not a Rule 11 agreement, meaning the court is not bound by the plea agreement and could impose a different lawful sentence at sentencing. The stipulated agreement between the parties is the maximum on each count. So theoretically, the only thing the court could do would be a lesser sentence at sentencing. But the defendant is not free to ask the court to do so under the plea agreement. Are there any other material terms of the plea agreement that the parties would like to make? Obviously, the plea agreement, the written plea agreement will speak for itself and be part of the court record.
Not from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, very well.
This is very important. Right. Listen to this. Listen to these questions.
Taylor, have you had sufficient time to discuss this case and all of its ramifications with your client?
Very confident.
I have, Your Honor.
Have you discussed fully with him his rights, defenses, and possible consequences to him of the guilty plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you been able to do all the discovery you feel necessary?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you informed your client of the importance of providing the court truthful and accurate answers in taking this plea today?
I have.
Have you apprised your client of any and all offers and counter offers and answered his questions about those?
Yes,
Do you consent to the entry of the plea today?
I do.
All right, Mr. Koberger, I need to ask you some questions this afternoon, or I guess it's this morning still. I do this to ensure that so that I am assured that you understand the nature of the charges to which I understand you're going to plead guilty, as well as the possible consequences to you of your guilty pleas. I want to make sure your plea is given voluntarily, and I want to make sure that you actually committed the crimes to which you're pleading guilty, because I don't want you to plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit. If you attempt to plead guilty today, but for some reason I don't accept your plea, then it is possible that your statements today could be used against you later at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now, while you're standing, actually, why don't you take the oath from the clerk?
See what I'm saying? Eager enough to stand before you even needed to. It was
Yes.
like, whoa.
All right, and Mr. Koberg, just to make it easier, you don't need to stand when you speak to me. I appreciate the sign of respect, but for convenience, you can remain seated, all right? Before I start asking you questions today, have you consumed substantive questions? Let me ask you, have you consumed any alcohol, drug, or other intoxicating substance that would impair your ability to understand or exercise reasonable judgment?
No.
You feel like you are thinking clearly today?
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the possible penalties are for each of the crimes to which I understand you're going to offer a guilty plea today. They include, on count one, the burglary, a fine of up to $50,000 and a period of incarceration of up to 10 years in the state penitentiary. You may be required to pay restitution to any victims of the crime. Count 2, 3, 4, and 5 for first-degree murder. The consequences include a fine of up to $50,000, a period of incarceration of life imprisonment, which is a requirement of a sentence, that it be a life sentence with a mandatory minimum sentence of at least 10 years on each of those counts. In addition, you would be potentially responsible for a fine of up to $5,000 to each of the victims of your crime, to be enforced in the form of a civil judgment, to operate as additional punishment. This is in excess of any restitution or fines that the court could order. And again, you may be required to pay restitution to the victims of the crime. You would be required to provide, as to counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression, and potentially pay for analysis of those samples. You would lose any right to possess, purchase, or carry a firearm, the right to serve on jury duty, the right to hold public office, and the right to vote. Do you understand the charges and all those possible consequences?
Yes.
You've heard the plea agreement that I talked about today. Do you agree with that plea agreement?
Yes.
And do you understand the nature of the charges that you've been charged with that I understand you're going to plead guilty today to?
Yes.
As I indicated, I'm not bound by the plea agreement, but the plea agreement is for the maximum on each count. Do you understand that I'm not bound by the plea agreement?
Yes.
Has anyone promised you that I would be lenient or easy on you if you pled guilty?
No.
Has anyone threatened you or anyone close to you to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Is anyone other than the state's agreements with respect to the plea agreement, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea agreement?
No.
Has anyone told you to be untruthful in answering my questions today?
No.
Has anyone offered you a reward of any kind other than the plea agreement in order to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
And counsel, obviously there have been a number of motions filed to suppress evidence in this case. other than those filed, are there any other motions that you felt were available with respect to Rule 12?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Koberg, you understand that by entering the guilty plea in this case, you would be giving up your right to appeal any decision this court made, as well as your sentence.
Yes.
Have you had enough time to decide whether or not to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Given your choices, do you believe it's in your best interest to plead guilty?
Yes.
Have you discussed fully the matter of pleading guilty with your attorney, and are you satisfied with the advice you've received?
Yes.
Has your attorney advised you to your satisfaction about what your rights are, what your defenses may be, and what the possible consequences to you of your guilty plea are?
Yes.
Has your attorney done everything you've asked them to do?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with their representation of you?
Yes.
I have received a written guilty plea advisory questionnaire that is purported to be filled out by you. Did you fill that document out?
Yes.
Did you understand the questions that you answered in this document?
Yes.
And are the answers that are outlined in this document your answers?
Yes.
Are those answers truthful?
Yes.
Did you sign the document?
Yes.
And this document outlines many of the rights that you have in this case. Should you not plead guilty, did you understand those rights?
Yes.
They include a right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to the presumption of innocence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to require the state to prove your guilt as to each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to confront your accusers and cross-examine witnesses presented by the state, including by utilizing the subpoena power of the court to accomplish that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You understand you would have a privilege against self-incrimination and a right to remain silent, meaning you would not be compelled to testify if you did not wish to, had you not pled guilty.
Yes.
You understand you're giving up that privilege and those rights that I've just outlined by pleading guilty.
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the state would have had to have proven at trial had you, to the crimes that you're pleading guilty to, had you, if you didn't plead guilty. Let me find the document. Hang on a second here. All right. So as to count one burglary, the state would have to have proven that on or about November 13, 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, you unlawfully entered a residence located at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. As to count two, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. As to count three, the state would have had to have proven that on that same date in Latah County, at that same address, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. As to count four, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. And then as to count five, also murder in the first degree, that on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing him, from which he died. Do you understand those things the state would have had to have proven?
Yes.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, the state no longer has to prove those things because you're admitting those things are true?
Yes.
I want to also make, for the record, the defendant has provided with the guilty plea advisory form a document entitled Written Factual Basis that purports to have the defendant's signature dated 1 July 2025. Did you sign that document?
Yes.
And did you agree with the written factual basis that is included there?
Yes.
And then let me ask you, did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought?
Yes.
I would ask the state at this time to provide its recitation of its factual basis had this case gone to trial.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the organization of the recitation is different than what I think the court and the public may be familiar with from the probable cause affidavit and other documents. The state's evidence, as an overview, would show that back in March of 2022, when the defendant was residing at his parents' residence or residing back in Pennsylvania, his home state, he purchased online a K-bar knife and sheath with an Amazon gift card that he had purchased shortly prior to the purchase of the knife, sheath, and sharpener. Jumping ahead, the end of June of that year, the defendant, Mr. Koberger, moved from Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington, which is right across the state line from Moscow, Idaho, for the purpose of pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. The state's evidence would indicate that beginning July 9th of 2022, Mr. Koberger's phone began connecting to a cell tower that serves the area of the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho. Now, I will acknowledge for the court and all present that there are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants. Between July 9th of 2022 and November 7th, the defendant's phone connected to that particular tower during late night, early morning hours, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., on approximately 23 times. Now, I will acknowledge also, we do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area on those times. In the interim, on August 22nd of 2022, Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Darren Duke conducted a traffic stop in the early morning hour or late evening hours, about 11 p.m. On the west side of Moscow, on the Moscow Pullman Road. This was the traffic stop of Mr. Koberger's car, which turned
By the way, while we listen to all this and we finish this out, we'll be taking live calls after this. If you want to call in, let us know what you think. I'm curious. Let me know in chat. You can type 1 or 2, yes or no. New trials, sit in prison. Will Brian C. Koberger get a new trial? I honestly don't think he's gonna. We'll see though. Let me know in chat what you think, or let me know on replay if you're checking this out on replay. Thank you guys. Please hit the like, subscribe.
Turned out to be a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates. During the course of the traffic stop, Deputy Duke was able to obtain Mr. Koberger's name, Brian Koberger, his phone number, and his address, which at that point was an apartment address in Pullman. We then moved to the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The state's evidence would show that early morning hours on that day, Mr. Koberger's phone left his Pullman residence, which is an apartment in kind of the central northwest part of Pullman. That phone was then subsequently turned off at approximately 2:54 a.m. and remained off until approximately 4:48 a.m. on Sunday, the 13th of November. The state's evidence would include a trial, video surveillance of a business on the Moscow-Pullman Highway, just across the state line from Moscow. It would show a vehicle matching the description of the defendant's Hyundai Elantra entering Moscow at approximately 3:02 a.m. Compiled surveillance that the investigators put together from businesses and residents then show the defendant's car, the white Elantra, as I've described, circling the 1122 King Road area, that neighborhood, starting around 3:30 or so in the morning. Comes into the immediate area of 1122 King Road, which is actually on a dead end, and then leaves several times. And approximately 4:05 that morning, the defense car had entered that area, was leaving, stopped at the intersection of King and Queen Road, did a U-turn, and the state's evidence would show that the defendant's car came back and parked behind and above the 1122 King Road residence. The state believes that its evidence would then show that the defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked. Defendant entered the residence, went to the 3rd floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogan and Caitlin Gonzalez. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogan's body. And I can jump ahead. That sheath was tested by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, and single source male DNA was found on the snap of that sheath, as well as blood from both Kaylee and Madison and other trace evidence. But it's important to note single source male DNA was on the snap of that sheath. The state's evidence would show that Xana Knodel was still awake at this time. In fact, had taken a DoorDash order not long before this started. Her room was not on the 3rd floor, it was on the 2nd floor on the west side. As the defendant was either coming down the stairs or leaving, he encountered Xana, and he ended up killing her, also with a large knife. Ethan Chapin, Xana's boyfriend, was asleep in her bedroom, and the defendant killed him as well with a large fixed blade knife. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. I will state for the record that there is no evidence there was any sexual component or sexual assault on any of the victims. I want to make that clear so there's no speculation. There were 2 other roommates in the house, and they were already asleep. During the course of this, one of those roommates awoke, looked out her door not knowing what was going on, and saw the defendant, who was dressed in black with a black balaclava on, holding some sort of container in his hand. And she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before. At approximately 4:20 that morning, so this would have been 15 minutes or so later, Finn's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, which is immediately next door to the west of 1122, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. And if the court were to see that, or anybody in this courtroom would see that, you can see the car almost loses control as it makes the corner, heads north, and then turns to go south on Walinta, which is one of the only ways to get out of that part of town. The evidence would show that following that, the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd gone that route. And they did not show the defendant's car on that route during the time. So we know that he went through a variety of back roads in a very rural, isolated part of Latah County. About 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on. And the evidence will show that that phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. Later that morning, Sunday, the 13th of November of 2022, Mr. Koberger's phone returned to the area of King Road. We don't know exactly what he did, but it returned to that area. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's there for about 10 minutes and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30, the state's evidence will show, evidence taken from the defendant's phone, that he took a selfie of himself on his phone in what appears to be the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up. The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is Idaho's seaport. Large bodies of moving water down there. In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th of 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath, as the state believes, to replace the one that was left at the scene of the murders. The evidence also will suggest that there were at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, where all these transactions had occurred. Later that week, the state's evidence will show that Mr. Koberger went to what we would call DMV, motor vehicle licensing here in Idaho, in Pullman, to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. That's of note because Pennsylvania cars do not require a front license plate. The vehicles seen on the surveillance cameras of the defendant's car showed it didn't have a front license plate on it. At the time of the traffic stop by Deputy Duke in August, it was Pennsylvania plate, no front license plate. Mr. Koberger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania for the holidays. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Koberger, had been accessing information about him, were trying to find him. They located him in Pennsylvania, and they conducted what's called a trash pull. During the nighttime hours, agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case, working with the sanitation department back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residence of the defendant's parents to the Idaho State Forensic Laboratory, where the lab experts there were able to identify DNA on a Q-tip as coming from the father of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogan's body in the bed. Subsequently, an arrest warrant was issued here in Idaho, and a search warrant was issued in the state of Pennsylvania with the assistance not only of the FBI, but Pennsylvania State Police. Mr. Koberger was arrested at his parents' home to return to Idaho. Upon his return to Idaho, a DNA sample was taken from him, and it matched the DNA found on the knife sheath next to Maddie's body at the crime scene. I can tell the court and the public, the weapon itself, the knife, has not yet been recovered. I can tell the court that the defendant's apartment in Pullman was searched, as well as his office. Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. And of course, we are now talking 6-8 weeks after the time of the killings. In Pennsylvania, the defendant's car was seized, and it was actually pretty much disassembled internally. And it also had been cleaned. There was a bucket of cleaner right beside it. I think we can all look to our own cars, you know, and those.
A bucket of cleaner ain't gonna clean blood out of every little nook and cranny, bro.
There's always some degree of crud in there. They were spotless.
Right.
The defendant's car had been meticulously cleaned inside. And the state would present to the jury that that was part of the defendant's plan in covering up this. The defendant has studied crime. In fact, he did a detailed paper on crime scene processing when he was working on his pre-doctorate degrees, and he had that knowledge and skill. So, Your Honor, at the end, the state submits the evidence that I've given just a quick overview of, and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, excuse me, Mr. Koberger entered the residence of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice forethought, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Santa Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, based on the state's proffer and importantly based upon defendant's explicit admission to committing these crimes, the court finds there is a factual basis. Therefore, with respect to count 1, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Koberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 2, murder in the first degree, as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 3, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 4, the first degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 5, first degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Right. The court will find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and each offense and the possible consequences to him of his guilty plea. The court finds that there is a factual basis for the plea and that finds the defendant believes the plea to be in his best interest. I find that the plea was given freely, voluntarily, and was intelligently made. I accept the plea. I direct that it be entered. I'll continue the matter for sentencing in this case. I think it was mentioned on the call Monday afternoon, the defense wishes to waive a pretrial investigation. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
The state also?
Yes, Your Honor. The state does not believe pre-sentence investigation is needed given the evidence that is available We want to, though, make sure that all of the victims have the opportunity to make statements to the court at sentencing.
Absolutely. And certainly both the state and the defense may present whatever sentencing memorandum and other documents you wish me to consider. The victims will be given an opportunity to provide the statements that they wish to at sentencing. Do we need more than one full day for sentencing?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. Obviously, we have numerous victims, and we have victims who share unique perspectives on this, and we want to make sure that they all have time to express their feelings to the court. But I believe that if we can start perhaps 8:30 or so in the morning, that we should be able to complete it all in one day.
Defense agree with that in terms of the time frame?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So as it happens, we have some time reserved in this case in July and August.
All right, so we'll go ahead and pause it there again. Here's the link to the full plea deal hearing. You heard it for yourself. You heard the questions. You heard the questions. You heard the responses. What the hell? What the hell could they have given him to? I don't understand. There is a new response from the Gonsalves family. We are going to check that out real quick. Let me switch to that screen. It says right here, first off, we are not surprised, even though Bill... Whoops. Hold on one second. First off, we are not surprised, even though Bill Thompson said the plea deal... Let me start that over again. First off, we are not surprised. Even though Bill Thompson said with the plea deal all appeals would be waived, we knew this wasn't factual. Anyway, his time to appeal was running out September to be exact. Okay, that's interesting because we were hearing there was no time limit. There was a time limit. One of the time limits had passed. Another time limit was coming up. There wasn't a time limit. I don't know. I've heard so many damn things. Somebody let us know for sure. But according to Steve G., September, to be exact, Gonsalves family statement, the mosquito, and we read through that already. The mosquito that you just can't seem to swat. This is what Kohberger and his following have become to this family. We read Mr. Baker's story, and he must be so proud of himself for speaking with Mr. Kohberger, because the only story he didn't have much else in it other than a guilty man claiming he is innocent once again. Nothing in the story or in Kohberger's statement does he allude to the fact that he did not knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently admit to murdering the 4 victims of this tragedy. Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Quite the contrary, he appeared in court in a hearing in front of a judge with his 4 lawyers. We just watched it. He did this after deciding not to leave his fate in the facts of the case up to a jury to decide his guilt. He never cried wolf or claimed he was uninformed, pressured, or that there were issues with the discovery that he and his counsel had for 2 years that he thought should have been challenged. He admitted to guilt and asked whether he actually was guilty. He said, yes, I am sure there will be a hearing, as this is how the legal process works, and the defendant will get another day in court. I'm wondering when that's going to take place. Probably pretty soon. I don't know. We'll see. A nice break from his solitary confinement, getting to go for a ride, maybe some different food, photos taken, and the attention all back on him and his innocence. The real issue is that if as much energy was put into honoring the victims in this case as trying to set a guilty man free, there would be statues of the victims and on every corner with parks and days honoring their ultimate sacrifice, their lives at the hands of narcissists, regardless of how this turns out. Our family is 100% ready. An actual trial this time. Let's go. We are confident he will get the death penalty that he escaped by pleading guilty the first time round. Just an absolute waste of time and taxpayers' money. It's a disgrace, so we are moving on, laughing out loud. I guess I better get me a Death Row Record shirt for every day of the week now. You know, can you imagine? Can you imagine if he gets a new trial and is found not guilty? Whew. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be really wild. We'll go ahead, and if anybody would, whoa, let me back up a little bit. If anybody would like to StreamYard live call, you're more than welcome. Here is the chat. No video, just the voice. So if you'd like to chit chat and let us know what your thoughts are on this whole retractment of the guilty plea. I mean, like I said, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what somebody could tell you to get you. I mean, besides the hair, there was already the chain of custody problem, right? With the knife sheath. What? And all the other evidence that was questionable, okay? And then you add the hair. Yes, the hair is huge. Death grip hair. That's what I've called it ever since we found out about it from Turvey. Whitcomb, death grip hair. Because when somebody has hair stuck in their hand and their hands are froze tight, that means it's from a death grip. Like they were dying as they were ripping that hair out. Death grip hair. Like that's huge. But still, there's all this other stuff. What could he have been told or advised or manipulated to think was better where you admit to committing that crime? I don't get it. I don't get it. Do you think he's going to get a new trial? I honestly don't think so. I mean, you heard the judge. This is why I wanted to play that plea deal hearing again, because you heard the judge. The judge asked specific questions to make sure. We don't need you to come back and say that this happened, this happened, this happened. We saw how much nonsense he was with the original court hearings. I have a feeling Hitler is going to deny it. It's got to go to the Idaho Supreme Court. They're probably going to deny it. Then it's got to go to the Supreme Court. They'll take a look at it. I don't know. It's going to get denied by Hitler. It's going to get denied by the Idaho Supreme Court. Would it get some traction at the Supreme Court level? I don't know. Because you have to have, like, yeah, you can say that your lawyer didn't advise you, but you got to have this crazy amount of proof. Like, that's why the chance of it even happening is this small. I don't know. It's going to take some time. It's definitely going to take some time. These things move really slow. Since it's been done, moved on, plea deal, I'm guilty. Now with all this other stuff, it's not like they need to get it in there. They need to find out, make a decision. They don't need that. They don't need that at all. I think we got Hopper hopping up for a live call. Let me go ahead and add you to the audio. What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm shocked. I'm just as shocked as when we woke up that morning and found out he was pleading guilty. I'm just like, what? Wait a
Me
minute. What?
too. My daughter actually, she called me earlier today, and keep in mind, she's 19. And she called me and she was like telling me about this, and I was shocked too. I'm still shocked, and I do have questions on whether or not he was ever guilty. But why plead guilty if you're not guilty?
I mean, and that's why it was important, I thought, for everybody to like re-listen, because you got to listen and hear him and see him. Like the dude was eager, standing up to answer the judge, right? And it's like, whoa, who? You know,
Yeah.
like that's eager. So I just I said it like, I mean, hell, I went boots on the ground out there to try and show people that there's so many questions, and to like talk to the people out there to find the truth, not what we were being told from mainstream media. I wanted to hear it from the people, all ages. And so, you know, like I was one of the ones that was just constantly fighting, constantly asking questions, constantly bringing up different thoughts. And then when he took the plea deal, and I sat there and I watched what we just watched, and I was just like, you're eager to admit to this. Like who would admit to this? No matter what, I couldn't think, you know, my brain is the analytical brain. It's always thinking about possibilities, percentages, you know, what would happen more often than not, the coin flip, the 51 to 49%. And I could not think of anything that would literally get me to admit to what he admitted to that day. And so I have that same question, like, what could be this false information? What could be this bad advice that literally, besides everything else that was on the table that you could argue in a trial, what made you go, okay, I'm going to go ahead and plead guilty to all these crimes? And the judge asked me the questions that he asked me, and I was like, nope. Like, I just wanted to get it done and over with, and let's go. Put the cuffs back on me, put me back. Let's get it done. I mean, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, and like you said, he was so eager. It's almost like he was proud, you know, to stand up there and admit it. And why would you if you didn't do it? But I will be honest, and this might not be a popular, you know, opinion. My opinion may not be popular with the chat. I was not 100% convinced that he's guilty. I was never convinced he was guilty.
Right.
There's just too much stuff that was so suspicious to me. And I was like you, I was asking questions. But then again, when you see him plead guilty and act so eager to it, it's like, well, you must have done it. Why would you, why would you plead? And I'm like you, nothing on the table could make me plead guilty to something like that I did not do.
No, exactly. And I'm trying to figure out, now I'm going to be up all night, not getting any sleep, because now I'm going to be trying to figure out what could literally be dangled in front of me on a fish hook to make me go, okay, I'm going to plead, and then come back, because this whole false, this blatant disinformation, this wrong information, the false promises, the bad counsel, like, what in the hell were you told, bro? If you really didn't do it, like you're claiming, and now you're saying it was false promises and wrong, like, what in the hell could it have been? And I honestly, I can't think of anything.
Me neither. And I've heard, maybe people threatened his family or whatever. I could not plead guilty to something like that. I just don't. I'm like you. I'm just kind of dumbfounded. I don't know what somebody would have told him or, offered or whatever, it makes no sense to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, like, I mean, I get like the whole part, like you find out about the hair after the fact and she
Yeah.
didn't try and get it tested. I get
Yep.
that because to
Yes.
me, that should have been numero uno that was part of this trial, introduced right away, tested. Because to me,
Absolutely.
the hair in Ethan's hand is who killed him. That's just
Yes.
my personal opinion.
Yes.
And so I get that argument. Like, yeah, for sure. I don't know. And I mean, the only thing that you could really do is have it tested before you get to the Supreme Court. Because I honestly don't think he's going to get a new trial with
I
what
don't
he
either.
agreed to with the judge and the way that the judge asked him, the things that he asked him. Do
Yes.
you know how many people say that they didn't commit the crime after they admitted that they did it? There's a lot.
Right. Yep.
Especially
And I was glad
after
you
they
replayed it.
experience.
Yes.
Sorry,
And when
go
you replayed that, to refresh, because I sat through all of that, I followed that trial thoroughly. And when you replayed it, just to hear him ask, and he confirms everything that the judge is asking him, he admits to. So I don't know. I just don't understand. I really don't. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
It doesn't to me either. We know that he's had a hell of a time there.
Yes.
A lot of harassment and things like that.
Now, CJ, do you know when we will know if he's going to get a new trial? Have they said that, or?
This is what I was like. I don't
Mhm.
know for sure, but this is
Yeah.
just what I'm feeling. He already admitted to it. It's already
Yeah.
been blown over. I see the court system taking its sweet old time. I really do.
Yeah.
It's not like it's on the docket right now and they need to hurry up and get it handled. They can literally take their time.
And
I
another
don't-
thing is, why so long later? It's been like a year almost. So
well,
why so long?
because I honestly feel that him and Turvey have been in contact over the
Uh-huh.
last couple months. Think about when Turvey and Christopher Whitcomb came out with the book just a
Right,
couple
that's
months
true.
ago, right?
That
Just
is
a couple
true.
months ago. Listen to what Brian Koberger's arguing. Hair not being tested. It's the same thing that Turvey was having a huge issue with. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they didn't have conversations and Koberger just got a hold of the book.
Maybe you're right. That makes sense.
Just got a hold of the book and said, wait a minute, this was
Uh-huh.
evidence that
Mhm.
wasn't even checked. I mean, and he's got a legitimate argument because, again, that's the
Yes.
numero uno evidence beyond the knife sheath, the hair in the hand. It's the death
That's
grip,
true.
man.
Yep.
That's the number one past the sheath. But
Yeah.
with the false promises and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
who knows what that is? But
Right.
I just see it taking a while. I don't see Hippler again with the questions and the way that he asked him, and he was like, "This, this is what I don't want to have happen." Like he said this
Mhm.
specifically. I see him basically telling Koberger, "Okay, well, if you can get it tested and it doesn't come back as you or whatever, then maybe the courts might consider it." But I don't see him saying, "Oh, because you were promised something." Well, you answered my question in the plea
Yes.
deal hearing, and you said that that didn't happen. So you
Yeah.
should have told me then, Brian. Then
Yeah.
so
And he told him, "I don't want you pleading guilty to something you didn't do."
right. He
So
specifically said it to him specifically. So I see him denying it. They're
yeah.
gonna take it to the Idaho Supreme Court. It's gonna
Yes.
get denied there, and then maybe the Supreme Court. But again, the Supreme Court, there maybe I don't know. It would the Innocence Project take it on? Would one
Mhm.
of these DNA labs take it on? Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't think
Right.
that you're going to be able to afford it. I know Koberger's been donated a lot of money. He's got like
Uh-huh.
3 figures on his books from donations.
Right.
So, but still, DNA testing is a hell of a lot more expensive than that. So, I don't know.
Right.
You know what will happen.
Yeah.
What will happen with it, we'll see. But I think it's going to take quite a bit of time. I wouldn't be
I think so
surprised if
too.
it's a year from now until
Yeah.
we have any kind of progress with either Hippler or
Yes.
the Idaho Supreme Court when it gets denied from Hippler. So it's going to be
I
a while.
agree. Well,
Yeah.
CJ, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I love your
Well, thank
channel.
you. Well,
I
thank you so
absolutely love
much.
it, and I love to support you. And thank you for everything you do. Thank you for the time you invest.
Aw, well, thank you so much, and thank you for all those
Oh, and I love
jewels
your
too.
gizmo. I noticed your gizmo. I love it.
Oh, the gizmo, yeah, and the other
Yeah.
camera, yeah, yeah. He's got a hoodie and some glasses.
Oh, I
like
love
me.
it. I'm an 80s
I
baby,
appreciate
so
Hell yeah,
love
that's what I'm
gizmo.
saying. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and thanks for the comfort of hopping up, and thanks for your opinion too. I
Yeah,
just
you're my favorite YouTuber. Like, this is the first time I've ever been on StreamYard or anything. Love your channel. I love
yeah.
it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We
You
love
have a
having
great evening, and I'll be
you too.
watching.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, it's I, somebody please give me a reason, or the bad advice or false promises, give them to me of what they could be that would make you agree the way that Brian Koberger agreed to the crimes in the plea deal hearing. I just, like I said, like I told Hopper, I'm going to be up all night. I'm not going to get any sleep because my brain's going to be like, I need to at least find one. I don't think I'm going to be able to find any. Mac Ann, I don't think the guilty plea or why he chose that route is as important as the statement that he is innocent. His whole statement was bold. It is a bold statement. But it's not, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody that was serving time for a crime so many months later says, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. But look, you're talking to me, the one that has been questioning everything since day one, enough to where I put aside my fear of flying and I flew over the frickin' mountains to get to Idaho. That was scary, y'all. Like, it was already scary enough getting on a frickin' plane, all right? When I just, flying, it was already scary enough. But yo, I was flying over high-ass mountains, okay? That's even scarier, all right? Just to get to Idaho. And I was in the claustrophobic, corruptive atmosphere of Moscow for a whole week. I mean, come on. Come on now. I've been asking the questions ever since. But it's why I say it's the realest reporting of all media, is because I'm going to tell you how I feel right here off the chest. And I have to sit there and I have to go, what the hell could it be? Because it's not, it ain't smell. You're giving me an orange and you're telling me it's a banana. I know the smell. I know the difference. It'll definitely be an uphill battle trying to withdraw that. Yeah. I mean, we heard it. Like, that's why I was, after this came out, I was like, man, if just in case other people haven't seen it, it's been a long time since you've seen it, we definitely needed to watch the plea deal hearing again. Because you listen, you can say, well, he said yes, but you have to hear how he said it. You have to hear the exact way the judge is asking the questions, because he said it himself in that hearing. I don't want you to plead if you didn't do it. I don't want it to get to a point where you're saying you didn't have effective counsel. He said it. That's why I said and instantly voted, I don't think he's going to get a new trial. Will somebody test the DNA of the hair? I don't know. It's the biggest question. What was that little nugget that made BK admit to the crime if he didn't do it. The false hope, the bad counsel. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Let me take a look real quick. Let's see if there's any other updates. If anybody would like to call, we'll take one more. If not, we'll go ahead and hop off. And I'm going to go kick it at the lounge for a little bit. What a day. We covered the Lindsay Clancy trial, day 1. By the way, day 2 for that trial will be coming up Wednesday, 9 a.m. Come join us with that. We'll be streaming that trial, live trial all day. Day 3 will be Thursday. Day 4 will be on Friday. Looks like there is a KTV video we might check out here in a second as we end it. I'm just going to see if there's any updates here before we hop off. And by the way, if you enjoy just hanging out, Nancy Grace had a little video on there. I kind of want to hear what now that lady, we have a love-hate relationship, you all know. Sometimes Nancy goes off the rails and it's just too much. But I don't know. I might have to skip the local TV video and check out Nancy's little video on what she has to say. But we're definitely going to talk some more of this. I don't know. There's going to be more stuff coming out, I'm sure. And by the way, I'm going to be going through some more of my Idaho 4 footage from the year anniversary trip that we did out there. The boots on the ground. I'm going to be going through some of that over the next couple days. I will get some more of that uploaded for the members. So if you are a member, expect some more videos coming soon. And we'll go through some of the videos on another show. Because we're definitely going to talk about this again. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in a day I'll have maybe some kind of legitimate reason on why somebody would admit to that. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comment section will type something and be like, hey, maybe because of this. I don't know. What could this bad advice, what could this blatant disinformation be that would make somebody be like, oh, okay, that sounds like the good route. I'll go ahead and admit to this. And not only admit to it, but admit to it so sternly, so confidently. Like you're ready just to admit to everything just to get the hell out. I don't know. It just seems very odd. Let's go to this Nancy Grace video real quick and see what she has to say. The thumbnail of Nancy. It looks like she's going to be on fire. Let's check this out real quick. And thank you all for being here. Appreciate you very much. Please hit the like if you haven't and subscribe. If you're not, let's check this out real quick.
Brian Kohberger pled guilty to 4 murders. They were worse than murders. They were slaughters of 4 innocent college students, University of Idaho. There's no easy way to report this other than what in the HELL? 4-time convicted killer Brian Kohberger now claims he's innocent and wants to withdraw his guilty plea. Repeat, Brian Kohberger, 4-time convicted killer, now claims, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. I'm withdrawing my guilty plea. I first got the bombshell from the victim's family. I thought something must be wrong. They're right. Brian Kohberger seeking to withdraw his guilty plea. If that happens, please, dear Lord, bring in an independent prosecutor, not that POS that pled it out cheap to start with. Joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter Dave Mack. What the hey?
Nancy, I thought that all of this was already settled, that Brian Koberger was not going to be able to go back on his guilty plea and do this to us. I mean, I say to us because we were so invested in this case. We were so tied into the victims. And for him to now come back a year later and say he is absolutely, this is what he says, an absolute claim of innocence, Nancy. It is despicable. And I cannot believe we're having to talk about him now because he's saying basically they lied to him, that he pled guilty.
Okay, Dave Mack, I think you're sitting down, but you may need to lay down for this. Why am I seeing him? Why can't I see the victims? Why can't I see Kelly? Why can't I see Maddie, Ethan? Where are the victims? Brian Koberger, lay down, Dave Mack. Brian Koberger now claims he's innocent and wants to withdraw his guilty plea a year after he admitted in open court he butchered 4 students. He now claims he was duped, tricked into agreeing to a guilty plea because of false promises and blatant disinformation. And Dave Mack, you had it right. He is maintaining a, quote, absolute claim of innocence. Duped? What, that he was misled? What is he saying? His fleet of defense attorneys all got together to trick him?
Nancy, can I add something to this? Because there was a problem with when we saw this happen where he pleads guilty but does not really have to allocute. He didn't have to say anything. Remember, the prosecution let him off easy. And I knew this was going to happen because he didn't admit to anything really. In real life, I mean, yeah, okay, I did it. And I agree, I won't come back later and say I didn't do it. But he's doing that. And he didn't have to allocate. He didn't tell us what he did or why he did it. He didn't have to tell us anything. And when I say us, I'm not talking about the families, the victims. He didn't have to say jack. And you know what? I really wonder what Kaylee Gonzalez's sister is saying right this minute, Nancy, because she would let him have it. Saying he is absolutely innocent. Well, I can tell you this much.
I've heard from several of the victims' families so far, and they all independently, separated in time and space, say POS. I think you know what that means. It's not a technical legal term. Guys, in the last hours, this is not just an interview, a jailhouse interview where he's like, I didn't do it. No. Post-conviction relief motion has been filed today. Post-conviction relief. What does that mean? After your conviction. Post-conviction relief. That means you have been done wrong and you're asking the court to fix it. I mean, you said that you were suspicious on day one when the state did not make him allocute as to what happened. Was he planning this all along? He's such a little perv. Maybe he was. I don't know. But you're right, Dave Mack. You know what? I asked you, Control Room, to show me the victims. Now you're showing me Brian Koberger without a shirt on. Did you not understand the first directive?
Damn.
Show me the victims.
Oh,
Thank
she's
Good
snapping.
Gravy.
Oh, man.
You've
she's
got
snapping.
Xana. You've got Maddie.
She
You've got
is snapping.
Kelly, Ethan.
Oh, wow.
The names I will never forget. And behind each name is a beautiful young University of Idaho student. And behind that student, families devastated. And now it starts all over again. Will the court allow it? My guess is yes. But Dave Mack, you called it day one. They did not make him allocute.
No, he didn't have to say anything in court, Nancy. He didn't have to stand up before the judge, God, and everyone watching and say, I did it. Here's what I did. Here's why I did it. He didn't have to do any of that. And to say he was duped, he got away with killing 4 people. He ends up in prison for the rest of his life, but he dodges the needle or the bullet. And yet he never had to say anything other than, oh yeah, I did it. I thought it was gross the day it happened. You were livid.
I did.
And now here we are. And he's actually pulling it exactly what we thought he was going to do. No,
You need to lay back down, Dave. You need to lay back down. Okay.
You need to,
Quote,
Nancy.
my actual innocence is my truth. Those words actually came from Koberger. My actual innocence is my truth. When somebody starts talking about telling his truth, what, as opposed to the other truth, my actual innocence is my truth. My plea was hinged only on, I want to read it exactly. My plea was hinged on false promises and blatant disinformation, and my plea must be withdrawn. Am I understanding this correctly, that he said all this to the New York Times?
He did.
That's where this is coming from?
He sent it to yep. The New York Times got it late last night and made sure, of course, that it was from him, and then came out with it publicly. But Nancy, going back on this a year later, when part of the deal was that he would not be able to come back later on and say he had been duped. He actually signed off saying, I won't do this. I can't do this. It's part of the deal. You know far better than anyone how the system works. The fact that we are having to discuss Brian Koberger and not the families or something good about what's taking place is just beyond the pale.
And this after the Gonsalves family has created a foundation in honor of the victims. And in that foundation, the Gonsalveses are raising money to have DNA testing done on cases that are just sitting there with no movement, waiting until there can be money, time, and personnel to carry out the DNA tests. You're right. They have taken all that pain and are trying to turn it into something good. And now this, I want to give you the name of the Gonsalves Foundation. It's called Murder Has a Name. Post-conviction relief typically revolves around newly discovered evidence. But in this case, Koberger is insisting that he was hoodwinked and that he is absolutely innocent. Okay, I believe prayers can be answered. Please grant him his wish. Please allow this case to go to trial.
Please.
So finally, once and for all, we know the truth of what happened.
Thank you, Nancy.
Because Dave Mack, isn't it true that more and more evidence has leaked out after the plea? Yes. And one wave of evidence is more damning than the last.
You know, you're right, Nancy. A lot of information has come out after the verdict, after he was sent away. The information that started coming out gave us details about the crime scene. You know, there was a lot that was left unsaid leading up to trial. And then when he flipped and took the plea deal, we didn't get to see it. But I don't know how, if it was really leaked or if it was, oops, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button and made all this accessible. But we've now seen everything inside, well, up to a lot more than we knew before he pleaded guilty. But we know about what took place in those rooms. We know to what degree each individual fought back, which it's a lot more different than what we knew beforehand.
Much discovery.
So we know a lot more now after the plea. But you're right. If he wants to bring it all up and fight, oh my goodness, Nancy Grace. We will have to, the prosecution will have to get a new prosecutor because we actually have to have somebody with some stones that can get in there and do the job.
Yeah, damn straight, bro. I'm loving this clip.
Look around. Where do you think you are?
I'm loving it. Well,
do you think you're at pre-K? Do you think you're in the narthex at the United Methodist Church?
What?
We need a prosecutor with. That's what we need. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Nancy. Oh my God. I just fell in love for the second time. Nancy. Oh my gosh. Rock the fuck on, Nancy Grace. I just fell in love for the second time.
Do you think you're at pre-K? Do you think you're in the narthex at the United Methodist Church? We need a prosecutor with. That's what we need. I don't even know what you're talking about. The Idaho AG has waded into this. State said they are quote, ready
Yes.
to do whatever is necessary to ensure justice. Well, number one, appoint an independent prosecutor and let's go to trial. We wait as justice unfolds. Be careful, Koberger, what you ask for you will surely get it.
Oh, I just fell in love for the third time. Holy shit, Nancy. Oh my gosh, what a way to end the episode. Holy shit. Well, we're not ending it quite yet. I want to say there's a new Netflix doc coming out in just a couple days. Now, if you follow me on Twitch, that's where we do our watch parties, where we could watch all of these together. Unfortunately, we can't do it on YouTube. So do me a favor, you can click on that link. You can watch the latest one we covered, and that's with, I think, with Rosie. Crime Nation, the Idaho College Murders. That was the last one. Hit that link, check it out after the show's over, and then make sure that you're following me over on Twitch. We're not just going to sit back and you guys can hear me talk about it. No, you guys are actually going to be able to watch it with me. If any of you have been in one of those, let them know in chat. It's really cool. Just like one of these episodes, really. Everything that you see, it's the same presentation, same everything. It's just we can't do it on YouTube. So definitely make sure you follow me over there. Also on Kick, we'll be live on Kick as well. So make sure you follow us over there. Also, again, Idaho 4, Boots on the Ground, HD raw footage. Here is the link. For those videos, that is the playlist. And for members, we will be uploading some new, not new, it's from the Idaho 4 trip that we did for the year anniversary, but there will be additional videos that will get uploaded for you over the next couple days. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. Thank you, Hopper, for hopping up. Thank you, Hopper, for hopping up and hanging out on the live call. Also, thank everybody for their support. Kib Kitty, Rosie, Hopper. Thank you all for the support. Really means everything to us. And thank you all for being here. Please hit the like, subscribe if you're not. And definitely check out all those links that I dropped before when the live chat comes back up on the replay. Click on all those links. Bunch of content for you. Idaho 4. Thank you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and let this play out for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to get ready to go hang out at the lounge and chill back over there. EvilleCJ's Lounge. I'll drop the link in chat if you want to sub up and come hang out later on. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one. And day 2 of Lindsay Clancy's live trial. Coming up Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here.
one.